We are a little more than halfway through the Major League Baseball season so far this year. And as we were in the All Star break, we wanted to update our MLB tier list for this season from World Series contenders all the way down to trash. But before we get into that, welcome back to All It Takes No Whiffs. I'm Alex, and that's Christian. And man, have there been some really interesting teams this year? Some really shocking teams from being good to also being pretty bad and not what we expected them to be. And I'm really looking forward to getting into this list.
Oh yeah. Unlike the rules of baseball though, there's a lot of shifting going on compared to our first list, but to get right into it, the Arizona Diamondbacks, this is a team that has exceeded my expectations by far this year, and to be honest, we've got them in the playoff category. They are 52 and 39. They're second in the wild card right now, and they're not even really behind the Dodgers when it comes to games. It's just winning percentage. The Dodgers have a slight edge, which gives them the division right now, but Arizona is completely in the mix, and I'm glad to see them in the mix at this point of the season because, like I said, I was sleeping on them.
Oh yeah, we both slept on them completely. Corbin Carroll, this dude is looking like an MVP in his rookie season. He's tearing it up. Hopefully that shoulder he can figure it out. Hopefully it's not nagging him all year. I
Mm-hmm.
would don't want to see that. And then I mean this pitching, their pitching is probably the weakest point on this team, other than Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, really. But I mean, I'm really liking what I'm seeing from this team. They have one of the best offenses in all of baseball, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they are going to be in the second half of the season. Glad to move on to our next team. We got the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves have the best record in baseball right now at 60 and 29. They just overtook the Tampa Bay Rays recently, and honestly, this team doesn't really have any holes in it anywhere. I've talked about it previously in some of our other videos, but they're just honestly just going to get better too because Max Fried and Kyle Wright are going to come back at some point. Max Fried just had his first rehab start. Azuna's looking pretty good. I know I've been bashing him all season, but he's looking real good. Austin Riley's finally heating up. Acuna's looking like an MVP. So, I mean, just this team's clicking on all cylinders right now. Oh, I wouldn't really say the bullpen is a weak point, but it's definitely the weakest point of this
Mm-hmm.
team, and it's still been pretty damn good.
So, how does it feel to be a fan of a team that is historically good right now?
Pretty good, not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
could imagine. Must be nice. Yeah, really must be nice. But no, the Braves are sick this year. To be honest, and going to the Braves games
It's
on the
been
occasions,
fun.
yeah, it's been electric, and that lineup is really crazy. Like it's not fair that there's a team that's stacked right now, and the entire infield being voted into the All Star game. That's sick in itself. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the second half of the Braves. I think they're gonna keep riding this hot streak throughout the whole season. But as far as the Baltimore Orioles, though, this team right here, they are better than my Yankees. I can't believe I'm saying that. Cannot believe I'm saying that. But yeah, Baltimore Orioles, they are definitely a playoff team, admittedly. They have a record of 54 and 35. They are the top wild card spot. And that's only because Tampa Bay, the start to the season they had. But they're not far behind Tampa Bay. And honestly, you can make an argument that they're a more exciting team than Tampa Bay. The fact that
Oh, for
this
sure, I
team is,
think.
yeah,
Actually, I don't know.
it's tough because Tampa Bay is electric, but it's just all this young talent, and at the same time, all these pieces coming through that have been solid for some time. Like my guy Anthony Santander, that is an MLB The Show legend card.
Legend.
Yeah, and he's right now is being a really key piece to a successful team. It's really dope to see, but yeah, unfortunately, like I said, this team's better than my Yankees, and the thing is, Baltimore, even just last season, like they were kind of our punching bag, and now they're just better than us. I don't know how to feel about that, but good for Baltimore.
Oh, yeah, Baltimore's honestly probably one of my favorite teams in the American League, to be honest. I mean, Adley Rutschman, this dude is going to be a future MVP one day, I feel like.
Hmm.
Cedric Mullins is just doing his thing out there. I mean, to be honest, this team kind of reminds me of like the Braves, like when they were first starting to get good again. They're just keep on bringing up all these prospects and stuff, and they just keep on doing the same thing right now. I mean, they have Jackson Holiday, who's going to be coming up here in a couple of years, who's just going to replace one of these other guys who is a stud right now. So, I mean, this team is just going to be pretty damn good for a long time, and I'm super excited about it. But move on to the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox are kind of in a weird place right now, to be
Hmm.
honest. They're in like a stage of where they could be sellers, they could be buyers, but right now I think We have them in the fringe wild card right now with a record of 48 and 43. They're 9 games back out of Tampa Bay for the AL East. And then they're also only 2 games back of a wild card spot right now. So they're kind of in a weird spot. They got some guys who are coming back too. Hopefully Chris Sale is going to be able to come back at some point. But this is a team that's kind of clicking, I wouldn't say on all cylinders on offense, but is looking a lot better here recently.
And honestly, and I'm really liking the pickup of Masataka Yoshida. He's been a really solid piece for them. He's been fun to watch because I really like his swing. Honestly, he just has a really crisp swing, and he's a really I would say he feels like a complete hitter to me. But outside of him, the Sox, they're just I feel like they're just a team. They're scrappy enough to get things done, and they're still in the mix, even though they're the 5 seed, which is insane because they'd be leading the AL Central right now by a comfortable margin. Well, not a comfortable margin, by
3
a
games.
couple. And they're in the last seed for the AL East. That just goes to show that
How
something.
good that division is.
Exactly. But yeah, honestly, I wanted the Sox and not good, not bad at first, to be completely real. But then it's just they're only 1 game behind another team that we'll get into shortly. So yeah, fringe wild card definitely feels appropriate for them. But as far as the Chicago Cubs, a team that made a lot of moves going into 2023, and not saying that they haven't panned out yet, but it hasn't really stood out at the same time. So yeah, not good, not bad for the Cubs, to be honest. They have a record of 42 and 47. They are 6.5 games behind in the wild card. That's a little something, to be honest. And as far as their division, it's I wouldn't say that they're in the race to catch up to Cincinnati or
That's a
any.
2-team race.
Yeah, it's like they're not super far behind, but they're far enough behind that with how things are standing for that team, it doesn't look like they're going to make a run for it.
Yeah, I mean, they do have some solid pieces. Cody Bellinger, I wouldn't say he's having a resurgence, but he's definitely having a better year.
Yeah.
Same thing with Christian Yelich. I'm happy both of those guys are having some bounce back years.
Mhm.
But I mean, this team, like you said, I mean, not good, not bad. I mean, they don't really have a lot of big names. They have some guys who are getting older and then some guys who are trying to like resurgence, like Cody Bellinger for this season. But
Mm.
that pitching staff's been pretty good. I really do like Justin Steele, though. That's one guy I really do like on this team. But this team, I really don't see them doing much the rest of the season. They're just probably going to be a nuisance to some of those teams in the NL Central and to the wild card race. But to move on to probably, I wouldn't say the most disappointing team in MLB this year, but one of the most disappointing teams, the Chicago White Sox. They have a record of 38 and 50 right now. They're fourth in the AL Central, 8 games back, and they're 12 and a half games back of the AL wild card, and it's really not looking good for them. Their pitching has not been what it's supposed to be this year, and honestly, we have this team in trash. That's you
Yeah.
kind of could expect that from the way I was going, but pitching has not been as good as it has been the past couple of years. I think some of these guys may get traded, like Giolito, Lance Lynn. I don't know about Dylan Cease. They may want to keep him, but
Mhm.
the offense, it's just so inconsistent. And besides Luis Robert Jr., I mean, there just really hasn't been a bright spot on this offense this year.
Alex hit the nose with them. They've been straight up bad and disappointing. And all I really need to say is free my boy Luis Robert because he's having an insane season, and unfortunately, is just going towards a 38 and 50 record. And obviously, I would love to see him cooking up, somewhere else, maybe in a different set of pinstripes. Just kidding. But yeah, as far as another team in the Central Division, but going to the National League, you got the Cincinnati Reds. We've been in some headlines lately. Shout out to Ellie De La Cruz. Honestly, kind of lit a spark under that team. Also with Joey Votto returning, that was huge for them. And surprisingly, the Cincinnati Reds are fringe wild card for us because I was not expecting that going into this season, but they have a record of 50 and 41. They're leading their division, and yeah, they're cooking up in the NL Central right now. They only have a 1 game lead above Milwaukee, I'm pretty sure, and even then, they're playing some really great baseball as of late. And I know I already mentioned him, but Ellie De La Cruz, that man has been crazy for them. A cycle in his 15th career game, and then just really solid splits to start off his career. Cincinnati, man, they might be in the mix.
They honestly just have a bunch of solid young dudes right now. I mean, Matt
Mhm,
McClain, that dude's really, really good. Not expecting him to play that well this season. Spencer Steer's been really good too.
mhm.
I really hope Hunter Green can come back healthy this season. I would love to see that. And that pitching staff is just really is gonna is really is what their problem is. I wouldn't say it's bad. I wouldn't say it's good. They have probably one of the best
Mid.
closers in all of baseball this year, and Edwin Diaz, his little brother. So that's really cool to see that he's really turning it up. But honestly, I honestly do see this team pulling out the division at the end of the year because I mean, the way the Milwaukee Brewers have been the past couple of years, they just can't score runs, and Cincinnati can. So we've seen that. But really
Mhm.
excited to see how Cincinnati is the rest of the year. But to move on to the Cleveland Guardians have a record of 45-45 right now. They are 500. They are first in the AL Central, which isn't too impressive right now. They're only a half game above the Minnesota Twins right now. And to be honest, we have this team a not good, not bad right now. And to kind of explain that, yes, they are winning their division right now, but honestly, they just aren't that solid of a team. They're not playing
Mhm.
that well. I mean, besides Jose Ramirez, there's not really someone who is just absolutely standing out on that team. There's been a lot of talks of maybe Shane Bieber being traded away at the trade deadline if they're not in contending for their division. So I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. But this is just one team that I'm kind of disappointed in this year and thought would be doing a little better.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing enough, I guess, to hold on to their division. J-Ram's having a decent season this year, but honestly not like he has been a couple of his past seasons, like in the MVP talk. I wouldn't say he is this year, but still a really solid season. And they have a couple of other pieces too that, they're really solid for them. But yeah, this is a really mid team right here. And to be honest, what's crazy, the fact that they'd be around the 4 seed in the AL West and the last team in the AL East, and they're winning a division right now. That's just kind of shocking to me. And that just goes to show that the AL Central and honestly the
Very
Central
weak.
divisions as a whole, like they're just there's a glaring difference, and that's a little interesting. But I want to argue that hey, New York might be a little more further away from the East than we think. Like we might need to make a shift, put them in the AL Central. That'd be nice. No, I'm fine. But yeah, Cleveland. I can't really say too much more about Cleveland. They're a mid team right now, but leading their division. As far as the Colorado Rockies, though, I know I definitely can't call them mid because though they're straight dookie right now, definitely in the trash tier. The Colorado Rockies got a record of 34-57. Y'all want to know how many games they are back in the division? 18. Wild card, I don't. It's not even like there's barely any point to say it because there's no shot that they're gonna get it. They're 15 and a half games behind in the wild card. They have Chris Bryant. Yeah, that's the best thing I could say about the Rockies.
I mean, Tovar has been a pretty good rookie for them this year.
Yeah,
He's like the third youngest player in the league this year, and he's been tearing it up. So
true.
it's really nice to see him. But I mean, you're right. I mean, there's really not much to say about this team. Hopefully, Kyle Freeland's not hurt too bad. I know he separated his shoulder or something, so hopefully he can get back because that's a big piece of their rotation. But not really too much more to say about the Colorado Rockies other than they just need to figure things out. So hopefully they'll figure it out soon. And another team that's kind of in the same boat as them is the Detroit Tigers. They did have a pretty good start to the season, honestly. They kind of fallen off since, but we do have them in the trash category too, and they have a record of 39-50. They're third in the Central right now, 5.5 games back and 10 games back of the wild card. But they're just they just don't have the pieces like a lot of these other teams do. And Spencer Torkelson, he has been actually tearing it up recently, which is nice to see. The former number one pick, and Tariq
Mhm.
Skubal was back recently too. So maybe they can get something going for the second half and can move up to not good, not bad by the end of the season. But I'm not seeing it yet.
Yeah, definitely still a trash team. Honestly, saw one of the funniest memes of my life about their star player Javier Baez today. And there are some bright spots, I guess you could say, for Detroit, but not bright enough to actually, light it up in the city. So trash for sure for Detroit. And quite the jump for this next team. We're going from trash all the way to contenders. You got the Houston Astros. And some people might be surprised we're calling them contenders, considering that they have a record of 50-41. That puts them at the second wild card spot. and they're only 2 games behind the Texas Rangers. So they're in a decent position, especially considering the slow start they had to the season. And realistically, looking at their record and everything, you would probably say playoff team, but defending World Series champions, you got to give them that.
Yeah, you got to respect them, and they have a really solid lineup still. A lot of guys aren't producing as well as we would like them to, but just wait till the playoffs. They'll start producing even more. And Yordan Alvarez is even there right now, arguably one of the best hitters in all of baseball. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, once they get him back, that lineup can keep going too, because he's kind of got that Judge effect too. That lineup isn't going when he's not in there. So
Yeah,
it's kind of concerning too. And then Framber Valdez has been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball this entire year. So
he's a dog.
the does suck losing Verlander and a bunch of these other pitchers too that have gotten hurt, but I think Houston's going to be fine. Got a lot of good prospects too, so definitely got to respect them, and they're in the World Series category. But we are going to make another jump all the way back down to the bottom of this with the Kansas City Royals. They have
Oh
one of
yeah.
the absolute worst records in baseball right now. I think they only have one better win than the Oakland Athletics. They are 26-65. Last in the Central,
Cook.
19 and a half games back
Who let
of
them cook?
yeah, 19 and a half games back of the division leaders and 24 games back of the wild card. So you can go ahead and scratch the season for them. They're setting up to probably have the number 1 pick or number 2 pick in the draft next year. So there are a couple bright spots on this team, though. Bobby Witt Jr. is looking pretty good. Did suck that Vinny passed Kian. I can't say his last name. I'm not even going to freaking try right now.
It's
It
all
sucked
good.
that he had to go down for the year, and I kind of hate that Salvi is on this team because we don't know how many more years of Salvi we're going to have.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting to see what the time frame on Salvi is, because I thought a couple years ago that we were approaching that, and then this man decided to hit bombs on bombs, but it's not looking
That
like
COVID year helped him.
yeah, it's not looking like the case anymore. But Kansas City, bad team. Alex hit the nose. The best. That's the most I could say about them.
But they
And
got Nicky Lopez.
Nicky Lopez, the Italian stallion. No, I'm playing. That's not his nickname. Sorry, Rocky. But this next team right here. I'm just gonna say it. The Los Angeles Angels, not good, not bad. They had my hopes up, but Angel's gonna angel. They got a record of 45-46. Things were looking good at first for them, and things happened. Of course, they're 5 games back from the wild card, and as far as their division, they are 7 games back, and things are just looking like they're going to keep regressing. What's new? Unfortunately, Mike Trout is hurt at this point of the season. As usual, Shohei Ohtani literally having a GOAT season. Like, this is insane what we're witnessing from him, and the lack of support behind him, it's just a shame. It's a shame to see. And honestly, a lot of things are like, it's like I feel like there's a few things you can't help but feel bad. Like the whole trajectory with Anthony Rendon since he's been there. That's just been a key piece that hasn't been able to come through for health reasons. So it's I'm not gonna give the Angels any excuses. I'm mad at them.
Yeah, I'm going to be probably on the little more optimistic side of the Angels. I really want them to see them do well. They have two of the best players in all of baseball, and hopefully once Trout gets back, Shohei Ohtani will still be on the team. Hopefully he won't get traded, but that could bring a massive haul of prospects and stuff back. But honestly, this team's on a 5-game losing streak going into the All-Star break too. If it wasn't a 5-game losing streak, if it was like maybe a 2 or 3 and they'd won maybe 1 or 2 more games, their record would be positive and be a little better, but honestly kind of disappointed in them again. The offense is looking a lot better than last couple of years, but the pitching just isn't there besides Shohei Ohtani and Reed Detmer. So just
Mm-hmm.
disappointed in the Angels again. But the other LA team, Los Angeles Dodgers, where do you think they are? They're always some World
Hmm.
Series contenders. They're always churning out some new prospects and stuff. I mean, their rotation has been abysmal this year, but they've been bringing in new guys left and right. But Los Angeles Dodgers have a record of 51-38 right now. Like we said earlier, they are up on the Arizona Diamondbacks by percentage points right now. They have just one less loss than the Arizona Diamondbacks. So Dodgers, I mean, they have Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. When you have those two guys, that's really kind of all you need.
And they're both clicking a lot right now. Like that 1-2 combo right there has been one of, if not the best combo in baseball right now, I feel like, when it comes to lineups. Yeah, the Dodgers have definitely been fun to watch, but At the same time, when it comes to NL teams, there's only one team that I'm taking super serious. Shout out you guys. But Dodgers a really solid team. But as far as the Miami Marlins, not expecting them to be at the point that they're at right now, but I would say they are a fringe wild card team. Yeah, that's considering they're second in the AL East right now. They're 8.5 games behind you guys. Not as big of a gap as I would expect, but at the same time, a big gap. The record of 53-39, and they hold the top wild card spot in the National League right now. So that's definitely good for them. And interesting position for this team because they really solid pitching. The offense is straight up mid, but the pitching is holding them down.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm just not 100% sold on this team yet. And like you said, it's just like the offense just isn't there at times. They have a negative run differential, even though they're 14 games above 500 right now, which is kind of weird. And Sandy Alcantara doesn't even look like his Cy Young self last year. He
Mm-hmm.
kind of maybe has looked like it the past start or two, but it's just really weird seeing him not like that. And then Jesus Luzardo looks like he's taking that next step and looks like could become an ace, but the offense, like I was saying too, Luis Ariz, he's not going to be hitting bombs and everything. He's just going to be spreading around with the contact. So this team's just very weird overall. Hopefully, Jazz Chisholm can figure it out. I know he's been on the IL, I think, 2 or 3 times this year. So really would like to see him stay healthy. But honestly, Miami is an exciting team. I just don't know if they can sustain this the whole entire year. But to move on to another team who I'm not completely sold on is the Milwaukee Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers right now have a record of 49-42. They're second in their division. They are 1 game behind the Cincinnati Reds and only a half game out of the wild card or the third wild card spot right now. So they're pushing a playoff spot right now. It's just this pitching has not been like it has the past couple of years. Corbin Burns doesn't look like his normal self. Freddie Peralta doesn't look like his normal self. Brandon Woodruff isn't even pitching. So it's just kind of interesting. Like I was talking about earlier with Bellinger, Yelly's looking like he's back, not to his usual self, but has a little more pop and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
this team is just very, very interesting overall. They're not scoring a lot of runs like usual. So I don't know. I'm just not completely sold on them, but I definitely think that they're in fringe wild card because someone's got to win that division between them and the Reds.
I'm 100% in the same boat as you. Milwaukee is a team I'm not sold on. I'm not big on them as a team. I do think they're a decent roster. Not a roster that's going to make any noise, though. I feel like over a 162 game stretch. And if they are, it's noise within their division. Like they're not going to scare any other teams outside of the division. So fringe wild card is definitely appropriate. And that's just with the division in mind, to be honest. They could honestly be a little lower, but I think this is appropriate for them. And as far as a team in the AL Central, kind of in a similar boat, but honestly, got to put them down in not good, not bad. The Minnesota Twins, they have a record of 45-46. They're 5 games back in the wild card race. And as far as their division, they are half a game back behind Cleveland in their division. Same thing with Cleveland, even though they're at the top of their division. Not a good team by any means, in my opinion. They got some really solid pieces, obviously. Some big names in Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa, who either of them, they're not really having great seasons at this point. But at the same time, they're staying afloat in a division that is really not that good. So definitely way above trash. But at the same time, I think they're pushing on fringe wild card, but they're not there yet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, someone's got to win this division. And honestly, I think it's going to be Minnesota at the end of the day. I think they're just all around better. Their pitching staff is, I think, way better, especially since Shane Bieber's not who he was and Tristan McKenzie can't stay healthy. Pablo Lopez has honestly looked like one of the best pitchers in all of baseball this year. Sonny Gray at times has too, and same thing with
Mm-hmm.
Joe Ryan. But those two guys have been getting hit around here lately. And I just think the offense is better all around. Max Kepler's a pretty decent player.
Mm-hmm.
Byron Buxton, dude, when he's healthy, he's really good. And Carlos Correa, he's even said it. He knows he's got to pick it up. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how this division honestly comes down because at the end of the day, it's just down to Minnesota and Cleveland. But to move on to another one of the most disappointing teams in all of baseball, especially the team that
Mm-hmm.
spent the probably most money this entire offseason, the New York Mets. And we have them in the fringe wild card for right now, even though they have a record of 42-48 and they're fourth in the NL East, and there is no shot. They are coming back from an 18.5 game deficit right now, and they are also only 6 or 7 games back from the wild card, which isn't too bad, but the division is just nowhere to be found for them. It's not going to be like last year in the Braves came back from 11.5. I don't think that's going to happen. But to be
Mm-mm.
honest, I'm just super disappointed in this team, even
Yeah.
though they're one of my biggest team's biggest rivals. They spent so much money this offseason and bringing in so many players, brought in Justin Verlander, bringing Tommy Pham, bringing all these other pieces too in trades and stuff. So it's just very, very, I wouldn't say frustrating because I'm not a fan of them, but I know it's frustrating being a Mets fan right now because we've all been in that boat with our team.
Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, though, gotta love the Mets. Love the Mets. Hit a home run. No, I'm just messing. But disappointed in the Mets for sure. Francisco Lindor has been picking it up lately. I think from what I've seen, he had an insane game the other night. Actually, I think had a 5-hit game, 2 triples, and a home run. Yeah, it was a crazy game, but still, that doesn't define what they are as a team this season, and that's disappointing. Straight up. Was not expecting them to be this far behind in the division. To be honest, I would hope that this would be the team that gave y'all competition, but I guess not. As far as the other New York team, my New York team, the Yankees had them in contenders in our first video, but this time they are in the fringe wild card. And wow, this season, it hasn't even been as bad as it's felt. To be honest with you, we've got a record of 49-42. Not horrible. 8 games behind in the division. Not horrible. Only 1 game behind in the wild card. Pretty good. We've been missing Aaron Judge because of a freaking toe. Yeah, a
Ran into a
toe.
wall.
Yeah, a toe is
Hell of a
is the
play though.
reason. Yeah. Oh yeah. It honestly is a play that's been shown on like mad highlights, but like that's the low light of our season, to be honest. But a team that struggles without their key piece, like you mentioned with Houston earlier in Jordan, that's how it is with Judge and the Yankees. Without Judge, this offense is freaking scary to look at, and I don't mean in scary in a good way, no. But yeah, even then, with all this, with Josh Donaldson having I think like 14 or 15 hits on the season, we have 49 wins. Not in the worst position, fringe wild card. I think we could definitely bump that up to playoffs.
Yeah, I can definitely see y'all bumping up to that playoffs tier here soon, especially getting Rendon back. Maybe you can get some other guys just to play a little better too. Maybe Josh Donaldson has finally maybe turned a corner. I saw a crazy stat that he has like, I think 15 hits on the season
And
and
10
10
of
of
them are
them are
home
home
runs.
runs,
Yeah.
which is absolutely nuts to be honest. So hopefully maybe he can get some more just base hits and not just home runs. But
Just good
I,
situational hitting, maybe.
yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think y'all are going to be fine though. Y'all are in a very, very tough division, so it is going to be rough the rest of the way. But I think y'all are at least going to get a wild card spot at some point. But to a team that ain't going to get a wild card spot for probably the next 5 to 6 years, the Oakland Athletics, worst record in baseball right now at let's see what 25-67. They are 27.5 games back of the division and 25.5 games back of a wild card spot. So this team is definitely in the trash category. And I'm going to be honest, there's honestly not really too much more to say about this team because other than Brent Rooker, I mean, this team just isn't that very good.
What's the kid's name? The guy with the insane amount of stolen bases, Ruiz.
Oh, Ruiz, and he
Yeah.
just got put on the IL too.
Oh, Acuna about to take that lead. No, I'm playing. I'm sorry. But best thing I could say about Oakland is my old Little League All Star team is probably putting up numbers against this team. Yeah, that's the one thing I can say. But to get back into teams that are worth talking about, you got the Philadelphia Phillies, a team that started off horrible, but at this point they've picked it up a lot. And with some context that we'll get into, I would say this is a playoff team because right now they have a record of 48-41. Not the best, but it's a solid record, especially considering where they were at. And the reason we got them in the playoff tier is because as far as the wild card, this is one of those teams that feel like a lock. Honestly, with the momentum that they're going into the All-Star break with and what kind of roster that they have, any potential moves that they might make in the offseason, like this team is going to be one of the 3 wild card spots, and I'm going to be shocked if they fall out of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be too, and they're coming off a World Series run too, where they lost to the Houston Astros in the World Series. So I'm not surprised to seeing them playing this well too. They're one of the
Mm-hmm.
hottest teams coming into the All-Star break. And honestly, Trey Turner is finally figuring it all out. We all thought this dude was gonna have an MVP type season
Mm-hmm.
before the WBC or after the WBC, and just hasn't been playing that well since. And so this team's just finally clicking on all cylinders. Pitching is looking very good. I know Aaron Nola had a shaky start against Miami before the All-Star break, so hopefully he can not figure it out because this dude's already got it figured out. But hopefully he can just that was just one bad start. But Philly is
Mm-hmm.
definitely a team I see making the playoffs this year, even though that they have a little worse record than some of those teams down there in fringe wild card right now. But to move on to the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have kind of had the opposite start of the Philadelphia Phillies right now. They started off really hot and haven't been playing that well since. So we've kind of put them in the not good, not bad tier right now just
Mm-hmm.
because of kind of how they've cooled out. But they have a record of 41 and 49 right now. They're fourth in the NL Central, 8.5 games back and 8 games back of the wild card. And to be honest, this team had like 24, 25 wins after I think the month of April or like halfway into May or something like that. So not very many wins since then. And
Shame.
it's not, I'm not going to say it's expected, but I just didn't really think Pittsburgh was that good to begin with even when they were winning all those games at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, talk about disappointing. I thought Pittsburgh was about to just shock the world this year, and it was looking maintainable even after O'Neal Cruz went down. But no, what was kind of expected eventually happened, and here we are, Pittsburgh in the four seed in a division that's not that good. So not good, not bad. Hopefully they don't fall all the way down to trash by the end of the year, but
I don't think they will.
I don't think so. But it is Pittsburgh. It is within the capabilities, I feel like. But as far as the San Diego Padres, on to get a little more positive, not amazing this year, but at the same time, I think they're slowly picking it up as of late. They have a record of 43 and 47, 8.5 games behind in the division, which is it's a bit of a deficit, I would say. But when it comes to the wild card, they are six games back. Not as bad, but still, they're not right there. With a team like that on paper, with a lineup like that, excuse me, they should definitely be looking to make some progress on the way up. But as of right now, they are a fringe wild card team because they're a solid team. They're in a tough division, though. I would say San Diego fringe wild card, but on paper, this team should be a lot better than how they're performing.
And this team's kind of performing. I wouldn't say how we expected them because we did say they were going to be World Series contenders at the beginning of the year, but
Mm-hmm.
the way they are playing is their pitching staff. It's either great game or not a good game at all, and we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing that from Snell. Billy Snell looks like one of the best pitchers in baseball for the past month and a half. To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
dude has a ridiculous strikeout rate right now, and it's insane. It's just the offense just really hasn't been there. Soto had a slow start. Manny Machado had a slow start. Bogarts had a fast start, but now he's kind of cooled down. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of the pieces around them aren't the best either because Trent Grisham isn't the best hitter in the world, but they just have him out there for defense and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
San Diego Padres are definitely a team I'm a little disappointed in this year, but not really because of all the beef I've gotten with on Twitter with their fans and stuff. So I'm kind of glad they're at where they at right now.
True. Quick mention: Tatis is having a real solid season.
Oh
If you
yeah.
ask me, especially for the fact that he's missed. It was about like the first month or a little more than a month, and I'm not gonna lie, I saw him in like the top 10 in WAR after missing a month. That's impressive if you ask me. And WAR, of course, not the end all be all, but definitely a stat to take into consideration. But San Diego, a little disappointed in them straight up, but at the same time, not too disappointed. They have room to improve for sure. As far as the other team in the NL West right now that is sort of in the mix, the San Francisco Giants. We've also have them in fringe wild card, even though they're in a little better of a position than San Diego with a record of 49 and 41. They're holding the third wild card spot, and they're only a couple games behind LA. And it's a pretty good position considering how this team is. It's just a team more so of like really solid role players getting their job done instead of stars. So I don't know if I could say I think this is maintainable for the second half, but we've seen them do it, so who knows?
Oh yeah, this is a team that I'm not too high on right now. At the beginning of the year, we did have them at not good, not bad. So it is good that they've moved up to fringe wild card. Good for them. But it's just a team that's kind of in a weird spot, really. I know not signing Aaron Judge and that whole fiasco was kind of a big blow to them and everything and kind of hurt. But they just haven't had some guys stay healthy. I know Mitch Haniger hasn't seen the field that much. Michael Conforto looks solid on his way back too. So Logan Webb's looking pretty good too, but this is just a team that I'm not too high on, and I wouldn't really be surprised if they do make the wild card at some point, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they miss the playoffs. Let's move on to another team that we were kind of disappointed in. We had a little more expectations for them this year, the Seattle Mariners. They have a record of 45 and 44. They're third in the AL West right now, 6 games back of the Texas Rangers, and then they're also 4 games back of the wild card. So, Seattle Mariners, I don't really know what to say about them, to be honest, because they have the talent around them. J-Rod just hasn't been playing like his rookie, like the rookie of the year last year. He's been kind of down. Maybe this home run derby and the All-Star break will kind of get him back going and everything. But the Seattle Mariners, just really looking forward to seeing how they play the rest of the year, and hopefully that they can make a playoff spot, because I'd love to see them in the playoffs again.
Yeah, honestly, a team with that much flair, that much hype, and being led by a young talent like Julio and other pieces, want to see them in a better position for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the second half they do something like they did last year and maybe make that playoff push. Only thing is, there's two teams in the way for sure now in that division, so that's going to be another tough challenge for them. But I think they could get something done. As far as this next team, trash. No, I'm playing. But yeah, in all seriousness, the St. Louis Cardinals, man, really, really disappointed in what they're doing this year. They've got a record of 38 and 52, and they had two guys in the MVP race last year. They got them on the team still. This
One of them
team,
won it.
yeah, one of them won the MVP. Excuse me. They're now they're 11 games back in the wild card. As far as the division, that's looking like it's gone, and that's crazy because it's the NL Central. They're 11 games back in the wild card, or 11 and a half games back in the wild card. Excuse me. This is just horrible. Like on paper, this team should be on the complete other side of that division. They should be on top, but you think maybe them losing Yadier Molina to retirement, maybe they lost the glue that held them together. Who knows? But it's really been disappointing seeing St. Louis play the way they have been this year.
Oh, yeah, and I'm kind of sad seeing Adam Wainwright go out this way too. This dude's not having a good season. I thought he should have retired with Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina. I mean, I just
Mm-hmm.
thought that would have been the big three trio right there going out together. Would have been amazing. But
Mm-hmm.
guess Adam Wainwright wanted to come back for another year and get shelled, because that's all that's been happening this entire year. So I mean, that's just kind of how this team has been. Wilson Contreras, we all know the struggles that they've had with him behind the plate. He's not a very good defensive catcher, and then their rotation wasn't very good in the first place. So all that problems and everything, just super disappointed in the St. Louis Cardinals. There's not really too much more to say about them. But to move on to one of the better teams in baseball, not better teams, one of the best teams in baseball, the Tampa Bay Rays. And this team is going to go ahead and put them up there, but they're a World Series contender, and they have a record of 58 and 35 right now, first in the AL East, first in the AL overall, and like I said, second best record in baseball behind my Atlanta Braves. But this team just keeps on exceeding my expectations, because at the beginning of the year, I'm pretty sure we had this team at fringe wild card, and boy, were we wrong, to be honest. And we were wrong right at the beginning when they started out 13-0 or whatever. But this team has just got some consistent dudes, just some not superstars, but guys who have just been playing really well all year. Isak Paredes, Randy Rosarina, Wander Franco is turning into a superstar. So I mean, all of these guys, their pitching staff is just unreal too, and they guys keep getting hurt and they just keep bringing guys up. So I'm
Yep.
just really looking forward to seeing how deep of a run Tampa Bay is going to make this year.
It's crazy how good this team is this year. It's just how well rounded they are. Like you said, their pitching rotation led by Shane McClanahan, arguably the best pitcher in baseball right now. And he was looking like this at this point last year, too. So this might be a mainstay for a few years. That's definitely going to be a familiar name when it comes to top pitchers. And another name, Yandy Diaz, he's having an insane season for sure. And I'm really liking this team. I'm not liking the fact that they're in our division and making the gap as wide as it is, but it is what it is. But as far as the team that is a top three AL team for sure, I would say the Texas Rangers, definitely a playoff team right now. Honestly, they've at times have looked like contenders, but it's better to be safe than sorry. I guess right now we haven't seen enough yet to call them that, but right now they have a record of 52 and 39. That gives them the lead in their division, so they're not worried about no wild card race right now. And the offense has been kind of otherworldly at times this year, led by, in my opinion, Corey Seager, having an insane season. OPS in the thousands, not really getting talked about enough, and kind of understandable considering he hasn't played a full season, but he's definitely had enough ABs and all that I would consider in the mix of one of the best hitters in baseball. And all of this without DeGrom still, which is crazy. And unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing him this year, but still, I think Texas is in a really good position. They've got some other pieces that have been clutch for them, like Adolis Garcia, all-star. That's dope to see. And I can't wait to see if Texas maintains in the second half because they're a legit team, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, I'm really, really liking this team to be honest, and they got all stars all over the field to be honest. I mean, like you said, they got Jonah Heim back there behind the plate too. This dude's kind of I wouldn't say come out of nowhere this year, but I doubt a lot of people knew who he was before this year. And then Jace Young over there at third base has been really, really good. Starting third baseman in the All-Star game, and then like you said, also Adolis Garcia. And I just wasn't expecting this pitching staff to be that good without DeGrom. And Nathan Eovaldi has just been leading the way. John Gray's been solid too, and then Andrew Haney. He's been good at times too. I know Christian, you have your opinions on him, but this rotation has been solid. Team's been super solid. The offense has pretty much been the best offense in baseball besides the Braves and the Tampa Bay Rays. So really looking forward to seeing if they can sustain, like you said, the rest of the season because the Houston Astros, they're chugging up right along them right now, right behind them. But to move on to one of the final teams to talk about, the Toronto Blue Jays. They have a record of 50-41 right now, third in the AL East, 7 games back of the Tampa Bay Rays, and they have the third wild card spot tied with Houston. They have the second and third just tied right now, but Toronto Blue Jays, I think that we can safely say that they're a fringe wildcard team right now. I wouldn't put them in playoffs yet, especially since how disappointing they've kind of looked recently. They've just been playing a little less than we expected here recently. So I'm expecting them to turn it back up here. George Springer, Matt Chapman, Dalton Varsho, Bo Bichette, Vladdy. I mean, this team's just got studs everywhere. Alejandro Kirk hasn't been playing that well this year, but Danny Jansen's been turning up lately. So, and the rotation's been super solid. I'm super happy to see Alek Manoah back, and hopefully he's kind of figured things out.
I'm hoping for more from Toronto. Definitely been a little disappointing recently. And not that they've been disappointing, but with the top 2 teams in the division, it's been kind of tough for them and my Yankees, to be honest. I feel like we're in similar positions right now. But as far as talent, I would have to give the edge to Toronto for sure. A talented team, and hopefully, if they get things clicking, they could definitely make a run for it before the end of the season. As far as this last team, though, what y'all think? The Washington Nationals.
No.
Washington Nationals. Wow, surprise. With a record of 36-54. Not as bad. No, I'm kidding. It's horrible. I was
Honestly,
about to
not as
say
bad as I thought it was going to be this late in the year, though.
true, but pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty bad. Yeah, definitely the team you guys got to worry about the most in the NL East. Honestly, we saw 2019. I wonder what their percentage is right now, what their chances to make the playoffs, and they might do it. Don't sleep on them. I'm just messing. Please get your rest when it comes to this team because ain't no run gonna happen. They're just a trash team. I forgot to mention them in the wild card and all that. I don't think that's even worth mentioning.
Yeah, they're only 13 games back. It's not as bad as some of the other teams, actually.
True. Okay.
Which is why I'm saying they actually have a better record than I thought they would at this time of the year. So, but honestly, Washington Nationals, they have some very exciting young pieces that are starting to really come together. Mackenzie Gore, he's doing it. CJ Abrams, he's really coming together. And also some of the guys in the higher of their farm system are really starting to put it together too. So James Wood is a guy I'm expecting to see up in the major leagues here soon. So I'm really excited for some of these young guys on the Washington Nationals, and hopefully they can start turning it around here soon because team has not been very good the past couple of years.
At the same time, though, they got a title in 2019. My team hasn't had one since 2009. So Washington fans, take what you can get. No, I'm just messing. But all 30 teams on the list. This is our updated tier list right now at the halfway point of the season. And we're probably going to be coming through with an end of season tier list it's going to be interesting to see the whole shift in how things went based on our opinions. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this list ends up at the end of the season.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to end up at the end of the season. If y'all want to see how it ends at the end of the season too, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Also, go ahead and hit that like button. Any and all support is appreciated. And also let us know down in the comments too. Let us know if you think our placements are whack or out of pocket or anything, because I definitely think that some people are probably going to think that. I know they did for the first video we made for this, and we got called out for it, which I'm okay with because that's what we're here. That's what we're here for. We want to have some interactions with y'all too, so we want to hear where y'all have some of these teams.
Oh, without a doubt. Looking for some hot takes for sharing those comments. Be sure to leave something like that. And yeah, leave your reasoning behind it too, because definitely want to see your perspective when it comes to this. Maybe we missed out on a perspective from a team that makes a lot of sense. Who knows though? But at the end of the day, this is just our opinion. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. But looking forward to this end of season tier list. Until then, though, peace.
Peace.